Welcome to the STR Home Financing Podcast, where we believe a legacy is something you build, not just something you leave behind. And now, here's your host, Jeff Chisum.
Hey, this is Jeff Chisum with STR Home Financing. Welcome to episode number 52. Hope you are doing well. Hope you are out there taking action. Hope these episodes have been beneficial to your journey. So today we've got a huge topic, huge. This is going to be something that is going to be beneficial to a lot of people, and it is around title transfer. So if you are ever in any of these groups that involve short-term rentals, the subject of title transfer is going to come up. And what you'll see a lot of times is, don't do it. It will trigger the due on sale clause. And so what this may look like is, if you don't know, a lot of people like the idea of having the title of the property, the ownership, what is showing as who is the owner, to be in an LLC, so a limited liability company, instead of their own personal names. In the event where someone's injured, someone wants to file a lawsuit, the lawsuit is against the owner, and they don't want someone to be able to come after their personal assets. They would go after the assets in the LLC, which I'm not going to get into the layering, the structuring of that. There's definitely value in talking to an attorney that can guide you on that. But even a lot of attorneys don't understand what I'm about to share because they are not mortgage experts and they don't know the policy. They're just going to think due on sale clause, stay away from it. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where the bank calls the note. So that's another thing to explain, due on sale clause. So that is typically understood as the bank calling the note in a situation where the ownership changes. So back to my original point, if you get into these different conversations, these different groups around short-term rentals, people will say don't transfer title because it can potentially trigger the due on sale clause. And along with that, a lot of times people would say, oh, that's never happened. You never see that as long as you're paying your mortgage payment. And really what it comes down to is it's allowed. There's a reason why the due on sale clause is not being triggered when someone transfers title from a personal name into an LLC. So I'm going to read directly off the Fannie Mae policy. So just the introduction, and you can Google this. You can go to my website, strhomefinancing.com. In the chat feature, ask for a link to the Fannie Mae policy. So on their website, the introduction is, this topic contains information on allowable exemptions due to the type of transfer of title. Unless the previous borrower requests a release of liability, the servicer must process the following exempt transactions without reviewing or approving the terms of the transfer. A transfer of the property to a limited liability company, LLC, provided that the mortgage loan was purchased or scrutinized by Fannie Mae on or after June 1st, 2016. So this may catch some of you that did this back in 2020 when the market was super hot. Everybody was buying short-term rentals. Or the LLC is controlled by the original borrower, or the original borrower owns a majority interest in the LLC. So the borrower either has to be completely in control of the LLC or equal or majority owner. We'll see a lot of husbands and wives that buy a property together. They're borrower and co-borrower, and then they form an LLC where they're equal owners of the LLC. So definitely fits within the realm of that common scenario. Such change does not violate the security instrument. For example, the 12-month occupancy requirement for a principal residence. And I'm going to read that again just to clarify. The LLC is controlled by the original borrower or the original borrower owns a majority interest in the LLC, and if the transfer results in a permitted change of occupancy type to an investment property, such change does not violate the security instrument, for example, the 12-month occupancy requirement for a principal residence. My niche, 10% down second home occupancy loan. The interpretation, the correct interpretation, and you'll see information from me out there that you need to wait a year before you transfer title, because at that point you're released from those occupancy requirements. You could do whatever you wanted to with the property. You could use it as a long-term rental. You could get into a long-term lease, and with that you could transfer title. The correct interpretation is that as long as your intention is still to occupy the property as a second home, which means you're not going to put yourself in a position where contractually, so a lease agreement, where you couldn't operate the property as a second home. So same as when you took the loan out, you're not changing any of that. You're going to continue to occupy that property at some point during that first year, and you're not going to put yourself in a situation where you couldn't when you wanted to. So no long-term leases. So with that interpretation, you could close, turn back around, and transfer that title into an LLC without any risk that due on sale clause is going to be executed. So I know that is a game changer for a lot of people that are looking to mitigate personal risk in these types of properties. Hopefully for someone, it is actually the thing that is the obstacle that is moved out of your way to pursue one of these properties, because I still believe it is one of the best asset classes in the United States, best investment opportunities in the United States because of the personal use aspect of it, the cash flow opportunity, the tax benefits, the asset that will grow as time goes on. Hope that this helps. Always happy to jump on a phone call, strhomefinancing.com. Great information there. There's an option to schedule a call with me. Until next time.
Jeff Chisum is a registered mortgage loan officer with CMG Home Loans, NMLS ID 1820. CMG Home Loans is an equal housing lender. All programs, products, and terms discussed on this show are subject to change without notice.